Business News Now with Ari Rabinovitch. Happy Monday, Ari.
Indeed. Happy Monday, Cynthia. Looks great where you are right now.
Oh, it's beautiful out here today here at Queen's Park. Now, here's a story that always draws major headlines. Canada's grocers coming under the microscope once again.
Yes, and it looks like it could be a way that the government of Canada is trying to crack down on what makes prices so expensive at the grocery store beyond just regular inflation. A lot of it has to do with competition. So as part of a wider probe of the Canadian grocery industry, the Competition Bureau is looking to crack down on restrictive clauses in real estate contracts that are designed to limit competition, according to them. So they're looking for direct examples. They want to hear from other grocery stores, maybe independent food markets and such, of examples of so-called property controls that have prevented domestic or international grocers, food retailers from opening a store in Canada, or even limiting products specifically or services they can sell. So they're reaching out. The Competition Bureau says those in the grocery and real estate sectors with those sorts of examples can share them confidentially by email. All that information, Cynthia, can be found on the Government of Canada's website.
Interesting. This will be very interesting to follow. Thank you. Now, another interest rate cut. People will like this story. Another interest rate could be just days away, and this one could be a jumbo-sized one already.
Absolutely. If I were a betting person in this sort of context, I would definitely bet on another cut being announced on Wednesday of this week, Cynthia. The question really is how much, and depending on where you want to bet on this, a lot of analysts have increased their probability of a higher rate cut this time around. We've seen 3 rate cuts of 0.25% so far this year. Now there's more than a 96% chance, according to the average analyst, that it's actually going to be 0.5%. And what may have sparked this on? Maybe the last economic gauge that we got here from Statistics Canada, the Consumer Price Index, came in at 1.6% for year-over-year price growth for the average consumer, but that was more than expected, signaling that maybe the Bank of Canada has to play catch-up and go for that higher rate cut, Cynthia. So I have a feeling we're going to be talking about some good news on Wednesday for borrowers.
I think a lot of people would appreciate that, Ari. Now, my favorite story that you promoted, and I don't know what this is, but Halloween is just around the corner, and the costumes, well, maybe this isn't my favorite story. They may not be the only scary thing this year.
Yeah, not all my suggestions for stories are good, Cynthia. Unfortunately, it might be some bad news for shoppers. But there's some ways to work around it. So I just want to give parents and trick-or-treaters the heads up that, yes, some candy is going to be a little more expensive this year if you haven't stocked up on Halloween goodies yet. But I should mention, this is specific to the chocolate. And that's because Wells Fargo has said that it actually has seen the price for cocoa more than double just this year, Cynthia. And a lot of that has to do with weather in West Africa. In West Africa, which is responsible for 70% of the world's cocoa, there was actually some weather that meant yields. Crop yields were down more than 14%, so that ends up spilling over onto the price at the stores, unfortunately. So yes, this does specifically relate to chocolate options, but if you want to work around it, there's of course like Skittles, like she had in her hand, you know, gummies, lollipops, things like that. Or, you know what often gets overlooked, Cynthia, is a bag of chips. It can be nice to break up the sweet once in a while.
You know, I have to disagree with you, Ari. Come on. When I was a kid, it was the chocolate that counted the most. That's what the kids want.
Yeah, I've got a sweet tooth for a gummy once in a while. You can have my chocolate.
I'm still giving out chocolate. Okay, deal. Ari, thanks very much. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you then.